outsourcing is also very valid part of your community. Like whether that's your therapist, whether that's your, you know, cleaning lady, like all of these
People that
things
help give
that
you
you may
peace of mind.
Hello, friends. We're back for Black and Curious. I'm Kendrin.
Hey, it's Dehjai.
And if you've never been here before, welcome. We offer commentary on pop culture and real life subjects as they come about in the world. And so today, well, as a part of our series about building community, we're talking about building community outside of romantic relationships. So I kind of think this has been underlying, and maybe this probably should have been the beginning of our conversations. This is something we've been kind of underlying our entire other conversations with, but we haven't really said it explicitly. But it's important to consider because I know like a lot more people are deciding to partner later in life or deciding to not partner at all. They're staying single. Even the people who are partnering are deciding to continue to live apart. Um, so yeah, what are your thoughts about like the necessity of building relationships outside of your romantic ones?
Honestly, I think that that has been a focal point for me for majority of my adulthood.
Mm-hmm.
And definitely like in my 30s, my focus has been like my friendships and like the community that we have together. And I say that because like I live in a place that's not necessarily far from home per se, but like far enough that my familial community is not like immediately readily available. And
Yeah.
so for me, like that was a factor in the relationships and like how I built them, but also like my parents are older too, like obviously I allude to myself being auntie status, which technically I am, but like by my sister having had kids, but also because of the age that I'm at this point.
Mm-hmm.
um and so because of that, the biggest thing for me has always been to kind of like establish like friends that can like show up in case of emergencies, and like having, like someone, like if someone is sick in our community, like our friend group, then like we try to show up for each other, because it is a couple of different single women who just kind of support me when I need to be supported, and they have been present majority of the time that I've lived here in the city that I'm in. So, but yeah, I think it's highly, highly, highly important. um it's one of the things that I am had that has kept me here in the city of Richmond for a while, because I have had my own medical emergencies that were like serious things. um Having the relationships that I've had with my girls have definitely helped to make sure that I was okay physically and mentally.
Mm-hmm.
um but I am definitely ready to like fly the coop. Shout out
Okay.
to our friend who we spoke to beforehand, friend to the show, new friend Lisa.
Mm-hmm.
She's definitely inspiring me to like just let go of the comfort that this city has provided for me, because it was something that I knew prior to my adulting. Like I came and went to college here. That's how Ken and I became friends.
Mm-hmm.
So like coming back here was easy. I think going to a new place and starting over will be different for me, and trying to
Yeah.
establish like a new community, especially like at an older age. But yeah.
Yeah. I think that friendship, I'm an only child. Okay. Well, my mother's only child. So community has always been a big deal for me. And like I've alluded to the fact that I was very much raised by the village. So I understand a village. I understand life as a village.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and so even when you are partnered, I think it's still important to like keep outlets outside of your main partnership. Like you still need to have other people outside of your household or whatever that are a part of your life so that you can continue to be in tune to different parts of yourself.
Hmm.
So I think like keeping in touch and keeping friendships in particular, um, it's super important. It can get complicated because, of course, people are constantly transitioning to through different spaces in their life. Um, people get married, people get divorced, people have children, and so it does get more intentional as you get older. But I still think that it's a worthwhile investment to keep those relationships strong and going.
Yeah. And I think too, like to that end, like I said before, we met here in this city going to school, but we have been able to
Mhm.
maintain our friendship through distance because we haven't lived in the same
Yeah,
place in what feels like 20 years. Like, I don't know that
it's close actually.
that might actually be true. Shit.
No, it's actually close. 2 more years and it'll be 20.
Damn. But
I
like,
left Richmond in 2005.
wow. Well, technically, I left right after you, but we were still in different places. Um,
Yeah.
but like, I think that having the community, well, having our community of two, the way that we have has allowed us to like grow in different ways too. Like there have been, especially like I would say with for me, there have been experiences that you have had and shared with me that have grown me in ways that had we not been in community with one another, I would not have grown that way. And I think
Yeah.
I am getting to a place of I am very sick and tired of the confines of the city that I'm in, but I'm not it's like I'm still straddling the fence of like comfort to a degree.
No,
And
I totally get that.
and the comfort is like I know this place and like now like all the things that I've complained about over the years, they're all starting to show up and it's literally in the last drags of me wanting to be here and I'm like, "Really?" But then now
Yeah.
having like my sibling here and my niece and nephew are here and like trying to establish those relationships. And I won't lie to y'all, I feel a little guilty for acknowledging that, this is my last rung here. Like I had
Mm,
to make a dash decision to do something, but like if that wasn't in place, I'd have been gone probably in June.
mm, yeah.
And
But
to
I
be
think it's like
real,
what Lisa says, like we put I don't know where we're gonna have that conversation in terms of what we are
in this
recording right
yes,
now.
yeah,
But I think it's what she said. And it's like you don't have to make a decision forever, you know? Like
yeah.
the worst thing that happens is that you go to a different place, you don't like it, and you move back home. Like it's like, yeah, it is what it is,
I'm not never
You just have
moving
to be
back
willing to make
home.
the choice. Well, I mean, not home, but I mean
Like
just back to
Richmond,
Virginia, Richmond, or whatever. No, that's
right?
what I meant. Not like home. I'm never moving back home either. God
Okay, we
forbid.
from small towns. All right.
Short of something like,
I am like
crazy happening. I never say never because that'll be the thing that happens, but that's not part of my plans. Let's just say that.
that part. Sorry,
Um,
I'm knocking shit down in here.
no, it's fine. But yeah, so I think it's important, even as your friendships kind of evolve, to just keep going and keep making time. I think we talked about this in the past a little bit, but like keep making time for those friendships and the people who are important to you. And then I
Yeah,
just wanted to also note, like, I think I've said this before, but like outsourcing can be a part of your community too, child.
I'm
I
telling you.
am y'all know, listen, with my mom in our household, it was very either you make the time or you find the money to do certain things. And so that's the trade-off. My mom was very clear on that. We did certain things to a certain point, and then when she got some money, she gave it to somebody else to do.
Trying to tell you.
Um, and that was even what she instilled in me. It was like, you don't have to like doing everything. You just gotta have enough money to pay somebody to do it. And now I do, so I do. So I think like outsourcing is also very valid part of your community. Like whether that's your therapist, whether that's your, you know, um, cleaning lady, like all of these
People that
things
help give
that
you
you may
peace of mind.
yeah, that may be giving you peace of mind, that they may not be your best friend, but it can also still be a part of your community and in terms of like keeping you well. And I think that's all a part of it that maybe we don't think about as part of it, but especially if you're electing to be single or circumstances have found you single, like you have to be able to explore all of your options, like all of them.
And I'll say, like, one of the things, like, so I was talking to another friend of our show, Frankie, from our previous show, mind you, but
Yeah.
I was talking to Frankie about the woes of like singlehood and like as a black woman going through the motions of things. And she
Mm,
was just kind of like, you know what? I mean, that's just what it is. Like, you just got to get accustomed to what the experience is. Now, Frankie is for sure an auntie, but that's my buddy.
yeah.
But she was just kind of like, because she's also somebody, you know what? I think that we should bring her up here. She's also someone that picked up and
I
left
would love
everything and everyone that she's known her entire life. She is literally from the smallest town and then moved to another small town and then now lives in the DMV.
love it.
And so for her, she was just kind of like, you learn a lot about who you are and what you can do when you pick up and leave everything and everyone you know. And
Absolutely.
she did so in her 50s, which
I
is
love that.
not heard of. You know, most people will go and like retire to like their like retirement community where they know other people and shit like that, like down in Florida, like the snowbirds or whatever you want to
Mhm.
call them. But she went the opposite direction and is like living her best life.
I
And
love it.
having that conversation, she was just kind of like, you know, shit ain't always easy, right? But you have to figure out what is your hard and like what that meaning, like the hard is something that you can deal with and then move forward accordingly, because otherwise you just
Fully agree.
going to be, you know, sitting in indecision, which is not, I mean, it's still a decision nonetheless,
It's
but
still a decision.
yeah.
Yeah.
So a lot of my community has been, with the exception of the babies, they don't want me to move whatsoever. My niece is very adamant. She likes being able to escape her parents' house and come
I
to the
bet she
luxury
does.
apartment in the sky, is what she calls it. I'm like, girl,
Mhm.
this ain't no okay, but okay. Because she gets to be free and do whatever. And like those things, I won't lie, like that is something that is really making me go, damn, like
Yeah.
I wish I had a left before this started happening. Cause now, like when I leave, I'm gonna feel guilty because she's voicing, I don't want you to go. I don't want you to go. I'm gonna cry. I'm gonna be so sad. And I'm like,
It's harder. It's harder, and even now, like, not that I want to move back home, but I would like to be closer than what I am now.
yeah,
Um,
I would
just
love
in
for you to
turn,
be
and
closer.
for it to be easier to get to my family.
Yeah,
Um, definitely, like as I've experienced some loss, like I'd like to be able to get in my car and be able to drive to my family.
yeah,
Um, also, just like everybody seems to be, how can I say this? Obviously, like nobody's life stopped for me, which is I wouldn't expect them to because my life didn't stop for them. Um, but I know that I miss a lot, and I would like to be able to like pop in and just feel more a part of my family than I do. I will say like there are some fun group chats that happen now with like some of the dolls and some of the cousins, and we have our group chats. And like the other day, one of the cousins was telling a funny story and one of the dolls chimed in, and it was just funny. So I love having those interactions, or even my mom, you know, calling one of the dolls on the line, and we having a funny three-way conversation. Like I miss that sort of feeling of community.
and
And
being so in
honestly,
person.
yeah. And honestly, like I've struggled here. I feel like in Atlanta I had a lot easier of a time. And I think it's just hmm, I think it's just the type of people that are there
Yeah,
versus the type of people that are in Miami. It's more transient, it's more, just all of the things. People
Like
are
Atlanta is
more
southern, so like it gives you
surface.
home. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah, exactly.
the
Yeah.
people are
Um,
still the same speed that we're used to. Like even though
yeah.
like I will readily admit that I am a very northern person with southern spin. Like
Yeah.
totally. Because I grew up here, but my mentality and how I communicate, like me and Frankie were talking about that when I went with her to the New Edition Legacy tour. She was just chopping it up with the people that wanted to be real friendly, like Southern people, like they real friendly and they want to talk to you and crack jokes and
Yeah.
stuff on. And I am very much my mother's of the bullshit. And I was looking at them like, I don't fucking know you.
Yeah.
Like, why?
And
Why?
so I'm not like I'm think I'm somewhere in between all of those things, but
Yeah.
yeah, it's been harder, and because like I said, it's a transient place, like making good friends and friends that are just like long-term friends has been challenging. Like I think I have maybe friend,
Shout out to
one
him,
friend.
to them.
Huh?
I'm gonna not be offensive, but shout out to them.
Say what?
I was saying shout
Oh,
out to
shout out to
them. Yes.
But yeah, I had one like really long-term friend who we met at work, and we've been friends like through jobs and all of this stuff. So I consider her to be like a true friend. But as far as like, and I have other friends that I like hang out with, or like, you know, that I care a lot for, but it's just like the warmth and like the
Not the
just
same.
that deep those deep friendships have been much harder to come by here. So I think it can be situational too. So,
Yeah.
you know, I think it's important. It's harder for some people than for others, but yeah, I think it's super important to like keep your other relationships intact, even if you're in a romantic relationship, even if you're not, like you have to find other community. And somebody else pointed out on the internet, I don't remember where it came from. It's like, especially with women, a lot of women, they outlive their partners anyway. So you still have
Girl,
to keep,
hold
you
on to
got to
your
keep in the mix.
bitches.
You have to keep in the mix. Okay. You can't be out here just cutting everybody off because you're going to have nobody because he going to die. So
Hello.
it's like,
Not only that, but it's always like, so like this is an aside, right? And it might be a lot of shade, but like the girls that be like, oh, I don't do female friendships. You don't do them because you are the problem.
ooh,
I'm just saying, 9 times out of 10, if you don't have not one good girlfriend or maybe even two, baby, you might be the problem. I understand keeping that circle small. I do. Because that I
yeah,
am
keeping
that
the circle
person.
small is one thing. Yeah,
Like
same.
I have the majority of the relationships that I have with my friends, I have had for 20 years plus.
Mm-hmm.
So like, and Kendra is in the bucket, even though she said it was 2 years. We're 2 years shy.
No, we've known each other for 20 years.
So it's just like, man, listen. I'm not.
Yeah.
I don't buy that. Usually, you the problem.
Yeah. So, anyways, drop down in the comments. Let us know what you think about building community outside of romantic relationships. Is it hard, something that you've struggled with, or that you find necessary? We'd love to hear more from you. In the meantime, like, comment, and subscribe, and we will talk to you next time.
Bye, y'all.
Bye.